Welcome back to the deep dive. We are definitely shifting gears today. Usually we're in the weeds with business trends, historical figures, tech. But today we are walking straight into the fire.
We are.
We're tackling the romance genre and specifically a book that I think has been accurately described as a scorcher. We're talking about Naturally Naughty by Leslie Kelly.
It is, it's a departure from our usual fare for sure.
Yeah.
But I want to caution everyone right at the top. Don't let the cover or even the genre fool you. This is not just about steam.
Though, to be fair,
Yeah.
there is plenty of steam.
Oh, there's plenty of that, no question. But this text is actually a fascinating case study in, social stratification, the psychology of shame, and this whole idea of reclaiming your identity. We're looking at a Harlequin Blaise novel, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is the imprint known for its higher heat levels in contemporary settings.
High heat is, I think, putting it mildly, but our mission today isn't just to blush our way through the spicy parts. We want to really understand how this story, this narrative, deconstructs small-town prejudices. We're looking at the enemies to lovers trope, but it feels like it's flipped on its head here because these two aren't just personal enemies. They are symbols of a class war in this little town called Pleasantville, Ohio.
And that name, Pleasantville, is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Right.
It's so ironic, obviously. The source material paints this town not as some kind of sanctuary, but as a trap. You've got the dying downtown, the boarded-up shops, but then underneath it all, you have this incredibly rigid social hierarchy that just refuses to die. It's a town that's, holding on tight to its ghosts.
It felt very, I don't know, a little bit The Great Gatsby meets the Rust Belt.
That is a surprisingly accurate comparison now. You have Lilac Hill, which is the seat of the old money, the judgment, all of that. And then you have the quote-unquote wrong side of the tracks. The town itself is a character, and it's a character that is actively working to keep people in their pre-assigned boxes.
Okay, so let's jump into the source material then. We're focusing on the prologue through Chapter 8. This basically gives us the whole setup, the inciting incident, and the reveal of the major conflict. And right away, the structure grabs you. It starts 10 years in the past. Why do you think the author starts there?
Well, context is just critical here. You can't understand the adult behavior of Kate Jones or Jack Winfield without seeing the trauma of their adolescence. And I do use the word trauma intentionally. I mean, to us, high school rejections might seem trivial, but when they're codified by an entire town's class system, they leave these scars that dictate your whole future.
Your decision-making process, everything.
Everything.
So let's talk about our heroine first, Kate Jones. In the present day, she's a powerhouse. She runs a successful business on Michigan Avenue in Chicago. It's called Bare Essentials.
And it's an upscale boutique. The text is very, very careful to distinguish it from a seedy sex shop. It sells high-end lingerie, intimate items, and yes, sex toys. But the framing is all about female empowerment and pleasure, not sleaze.
It's a statement.
It is a direct rejection of the shame she grew up with. I mean, it's on or near the Magnificent Mile. That's a statement in itself. She didn't just leave town. She went and conquered the big city on her own terms.
But back in Pleasantville, she wasn't the successful businesswoman. She was, and this is a direct quote from the book, a trashy Tremaine.
Yes, that label is just devastating. Trashy Tremaine. It's alliterative, it's catchy, it's so cruel. The Tremaines are the town pariahs. Kate's mother, Edie, was a maid. Her aunt, Flo, had let's say, a reputation for enjoying male company a bit too freely. So Kate, despite being a straight-A student, despite never getting in trouble, despite doing everything right, the town decided who she was before she ever opened her mouth.
It's that classic small-town trap where your last name just matters more than anything you do.
Exactly. It's determinism by lineage. You are who your family was, period.
And the prologue just illustrates this so brutally. It's prom night. 10 years ago. Kate thinks she has a date with this nice guy, Darren. She's excited. She thinks, maybe, just maybe, she's finally breaking through that social barrier.
And he dumps her at the last minute for Angela Winfield.
Jack's sister.
Jack's sister.
Yeah.
And you have to look at the specific language used in that scene. It is heartbreaking. Kate has this realization that Darren had to choose between Angela, who she describes as the tramp from the most respected family, and herself, Kate, the pure girl from the trashiest family.
Oh.
It just highlights the hypocrisy of Pleasantville perfectly. Wealth acts as a shield for your reputation. Poverty acts as a magnet for judgment. Angela can do whatever she wants because she's a Winfield. Kate could be a literal saint, but she's still a Tremaine.
Yes, so she leaves, she runs off to Chicago and builds this this armor. You mentioned her shop, but her personality is also part of that armor. She's so cynical. There's this one line where she's talking to her business partner, Armand, and she says she prefers small, clean, vibrating devices to men.
It's a great line. Because devices don't have egos.
Right.
They don't have mothers who judge you. They don't make promises they can't keep. It's a humorous line. It gets laughed, but underneath it, it reveals this deep, deep distrust of emotional intimacy.
She's all about control.
Because she had none growing up. She has monetized her independence. She's built a fortress.
Okay, so then we have the other side of the coin. Jack Winfield, the golden bull.
The Prince of Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Son of the late mayor, John Winfield. He's a successful architect, handsome, rich. On paper, he has it all. He represents the establishment. He's the brother of the girl who stole Kate's prom date.
But if you actually read his internal monologue, he is not a happy guy. It's filled with words like suffocating, trapped, and escape.
He hates the pedestal. He absolutely despises it. He feels like a prop in his family's ongoing pageant of perfection. He's only back in town to settle his father's estate, and he's staying with his mother. And the description of his mother's house is so telling.
The plastic-covered furniture.
Yes.
That detail really stuck with me. You know exactly what that feels like. You can't sit down without that crinkling sound. It's sticky in the summer. It's freezing cold in the winter.
It's a mausoleum of appearances. Comfort is completely sacrificed for preservation. The furniture isn't there to be used. It's there to be looked at. And this is the environment Jack grew up in. Don't make a mess. Don't make a mark. Just look perfect for the public.
And he's an architect.
Exactly. The irony. He builds spaces for people to actually live in, yet he grew up in a house where authentic living felt, basically prohibited. He's desperate to get out.
So you have these two people who both hate this town, who both want to leave, who both feel completely misunderstood. There's like these mirror images of misery in the setting.
And then they collide, literally.
The meet cute. Or maybe in this genre, we should call it the meat heat.
I like that. It happens on Magnolia Avenue. Kate is walking, and she's just feeling the weight of the town's judgment pressing down on her. And Jack is outside just trying to escape the plastic furniture, and his mother's nagging.
And they spot each other across the street. But here is the key, and this is so important. They don't recognize each other.
Exactly. 10 years is a long time. Kate has polished her look. She's sophisticated now, wearing high-end city clothes. Jack's filled out. He's not the lanky teenager anymore. But more than that, the anonymity allows them to see the person, not the reputation. Jack doesn't see the maid's daughter.
And Kate doesn't see the mayor's son.
They just see a man and a woman.
They just see raw attraction. The text describes it as electric. Jack is just staring at her like she's a glass of water in a desert.
And Kate sees a Greek god. But then immediately, that old reflex kicks in for her. Panic. She sees a hot guy in Pleasantville, and her first thought is, I don't belong in his orbit. So she ducks into Mrs. McIntyre's tea room to avoid him.
Which is the worst possible place to hide.
The absolute worst.
The key room is headquarters for the old biddies who made her life a living hell. It is the situation room of gossip.
It is the panopticon of Pleasantville. Everyone sees everything. She walks in, and the conversation just stops cold. She hears them whispering about the trashy Tremaines, and she realizes she has walked right back into the lion's den.
She's a CEO, an adult, a success. But in that room, she's 10 years old again.
Totally. So she turns around and storms out. She's fleeing the judgment, and bam! She runs right into Jack, who'd followed her because he was so intrigued.
Okay, now this is where the inciting incident gets really, really interesting. In a normal romance, he might just, catch her, they'd laugh, maybe they'd exchange numbers.
Right.
In Naturally Naughty, he catches her, looks into her eyes, feels her trembling from the anger and humiliation, and he kisses her.
In the middle of the street.
In broad daylight, in front of the tea room window, full of gossips. Why does he do that? What's the motivation there?
Impulse. Pure impulse. Jack has made this new resolution since his father died. Stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop worrying about appearances. He feels a spark, a genuine connection in this town full of fakes, so he just acts on it. He's rebelling against the golden boy who always, always follows the rules.
But Kate's reaction is even more fascinating. She kisses him back. And not just a peck. We are talking a soul-searching, take-no-prisoners kind of kiss.
She does. And the text really suggests she does it partly because she can hear the gasps from the tea room window. She knows they're watching her.
It is weaponized intimacy.
That's a perfect way to put it. She's thinking, you want to talk about me? You want to call me trashy? Fine. I will give you something to talk about. It's a huge act of rebellion. She's using this handsome stranger to flip the bird to the entire town. It's pure defiance.
And in that moment, somewhere between the lips and the gasps, they exchange first names. I'm Jack. I'm Kate. No last names.
And that omission is what saves the entire plot. If he had said Winfield, she would have slapped him. If she had said Tremaine, well, he might have paused, knowing the history with his father and her mother. The anonymity preserves the connection. It creates this little bubble where they are just a man and a woman, not historical enemies.
So they part ways, totally breathless. Jack is stunned. Kate is just fueled by adrenaline. But the universe, or, the author, is not done with them yet. Kate goes to visit her old hideout, the abandoned Rialto Theater.
And this setting is so crucial. It's a place of childhood refuge for her. It's dusty, it's forgotten. It's really significant that she goes there. It's the only place in Pleasantville where she ever felt safe.
So she breaks in. Well, the door is open, so she trespasses. And she gets up on the stage, and she starts singing.
Pat Benatar.
A classic. Hit me with your best shot.
And she's singing it badly. The text is very clear about this. She is howling. It's a moment of just pure, unadulterated vulnerability. She's reclaiming this childhood dream of being a performer, and she's stripping away that cool Chicago businesswoman persona. She's being silly. She's being free.
And of course, Jack walks in. He followed her. He's like a moth to a flame.
He hears this terrible singing, and instead of being turned off by it, he's completely charmed. He applauds. And instead of her dying of embarrassment, Kate actually engages him. And the banter here is so sharp. It shifts so quickly from playful to predatory.
They start debating the senses. This dialogue was really interesting to me. Jack claims he's a visual man. He likes what he sees. But Kate argues that women want to be tasted.
It's a classic gender debate, isn't it? The male gaze versus the female experience. But Kate is challenging him. She's basically saying, if you want me, you have to do more than just look at me. You have to engage all your senses. She is demanding engagement on her terms. She's testing him.
To see if he's just another surface-level guy.
Exactly. And he steps up. He accepts the challenge. And the scene that follows on that stage, well, we can't read it verbatim, but it is intense. It is the core of the Harlequin Blaze promise.
What's vital to note here, I think, beyond just the mechanics of the scene, is the agency. Kate initiates the second kiss. Kate is the one who drives the interaction forward, and crucially, Kate is the one who has condoms in her purse.
She calls them freebies from her shop.
Right.
Which signals so much. She is prepared, she is responsible, and she is sexually confident. She is not ashamed of carrying them. In fact, she's proud of her business that provides them.
So she isn't a damsel being swept away against her better judgment. She is an active participant. She is an architect of this encounter just as much as he is.
Precisely. She practically dares him. And Jack loves it. He says, I like a woman who knows what she wants. Which is in such sharp contrast to the women he's used to in Pleasantville, who are probably playing games or worrying about propriety. Kate is raw. Kate is real. And for him, that honesty is the biggest aphrodisiac.
So they have this encounter on a dusty table on an abandoned stage. They call it making a memory. And afterward, no guilt.
That's a very modern beat in the story. In older romances, or even more traditional ones, the good girl would have to agonize over a casual encounter. She'd worry about her reputation, her virtue. Kate just feels satisfied. She owns her pleasure, she straightens her clothes, and feels good about it.
And Jack promises to call her in 2 days. He is completely smitten. He's already planning their next day in Chicago. He thinks he's finally found the one woman who gets him, the one woman who doesn't care about his last name.
And then the hammer drops. Reality is about to come crashing into that beautiful, dusty theater.
So this is section 4, the twist. Jack needs a place to stay because he absolutely cannot handle his mother's plastic-covered house for one more night. He feels like he's going to explode. So he goes and rents a duplex.
Specifically, the other half of Edie Jones's duplex.
Kate's mother's house.
The irony is just, it's so rich.
And Kate is staying in the empty unit right next door, helping her mom pack. She has no idea Jack is the new tenant. And a few weeks have passed since the theater. Jack never called.
Which brings us to the core conflict. Kate is hurt. She feels used. It confirms every single one of her biases, that men are trash, that her judgment was wrong. She let her guard down for one night and she got burned. Or so she thinks.
So then, late one night, Jack hears a noise next door. He thinks vandals have returned because the house had been targeted recently, spray-painted with slurs. So he rushes in, acting the hero, and he tackles the intruder.
And finds himself pinning down Kate.
The beam from his flashlight hits her face, and the realization is just horrific for both of them. You're Edie's daughter. You're J.J. Winfield.
It is the absolute worst-case scenario. Jack realizes the woman he seduced, the woman he can't stop thinking about, is the daughter of the family maid, the very woman his father was rumored to be involved with. He feels like he has accidentally exploited the same family his father might have exploited.
And Kate realizes she slept with the son of the man who represents everything she hates about Pleasantville, the enemy.
And she immediately goes on the attack, calling him out on the ghosting. You didn't call.
Jack's defense is weak, but it's true from his perspective. He just says it got complicated.
Complicated is the understatement of the century. He had just discovered that his father left Edie a significant amount of money in the will. He felt this immense guilt, like his family had already taken so much from hers. Pursuing her romantically felt wrong, almost incestuous in a social sense. He thought he was doing the noble thing by staying away.
But Kate doesn't know any of that. To her, he's just another rich guy who got what he wanted and then bailed. She sees a user.
And here is where the dramatic irony, the big family secret, becomes the engine of the entire plot. This is the knot they have to somehow untie.
Right, because we, the readers, know something that Jack doesn't, and Kate knows it too. Edie and the mayor didn't just have a fling, they had a 20-year loving relationship.
A common law marriage in all but name, but it was a secret. They loved each other deeply. Jack thinks his dad just had some kind of midlife crisis or a sordid affair. He has no idea his father was deeply, truly in love with Edie, and that Edie was the love of his life.
And Kate can't tell him.
She's completely stuck. If she tells him, hey, by the way, your sainted father actually loved my mother, she destroys his entire image of his father as a loyal husband to his own mom. She also exposes her own mother to more town scrutiny if the truth gets out. So she has to swallow this massive truth while living next door to the man she's furious with and still incredibly attracted to.
Living next door, sharing a wall. This setup is just classic romance because it forces proximity. They can't avoid each other.
It creates a pressure cooker. They're enemies now, in theory. They're yelling at each other. But the body remembers what happened at the Rialto. The chemistry does not care about the family feud.
Which leads us directly to the shower scene. And this is a very complex moment in terms of, consent and voyeurism, and it really shifts the tone of the book.
It absolutely is. So, Kate is in the shower. The walls in this duplex are paper thin. Jack is in his unit, and he can hear everything. The water running, her humming, it's torturing him. He's trying to be a gentleman, but his imagination is just running wild.
But then he realizes something practical. She just moved her stuff in. There are no towels in her bathroom.
So he goes over to bring her some. He enters the bathroom. The room is all steamy. He sees her reflection in the mirror.
But it's important to note what catches his eye. It isn't just her nudity. It's a massive, dark bruise on her hip.
From where he tackled her earlier that night, thinking she was a burglar.
And this instantly just kills his anger and shifts him into caretaker mode. He feels responsible for her pain. He put that bruise there.
It's a pivotal shift. He walks in, not to seduce her, but to inspect the injury. He forgets about the feud. He forgets about the trashy Tremaine label. He just sees a woman that he hurt.
He touches the bruise. He kisses the skin around it. It is incredibly intimate.
It's more intimate than the sex was. The sex at the Rialto was about passion and adrenaline. This is about care and tenderness. It implies a level of emotional connection that neither of them is ready to admit to yet. He's literally worshiping the spot that he hurt.
But then, of course, the physical reaction kicks in. Jack gets aroused. He's a man after all.
And he pulls back. He stops himself.
He has a crisis of conscience.
Exactly. He knows who she is now. He knows she's vulnerable. He feels he cannot take advantage of this situation, especially not here in her mother's house, with the ghost of their parents' affair hanging over them. So he makes an excuse and leaves to get her an ice pack.
Which Kate, of course, interprets as rejection. Again.
Of course she does. She puts herself out there. She leans into his touch, and he pulls away and leaves the room. It stings. It reinforces her deepest insecurity that she isn't good enough for the golden boy.
But Kate Jones doesn't cry. She gets even. And this brings us to the vibrator scene, which I think is probably the most discussed scene in the entire book. It's the scene everyone talks about.
It is a masterclass in shifting power dynamics. Kate is angry. She feels dismissed. So when Jack comes back with the ice, she decides to show him exactly what he's missing out on. She decides to take control of the narrative.
She is wrapped in a towel. She pulls this little fingertip vibrator from her purse. She puts it on her finger.
And she uses it on herself, under the towel, while looking him directly in the eye.
While he is holding the ice pack on her hip. It is so audacious. It is shocking.
It's a pure power move. She is essentially saying, I own my pleasure.
Yeah.
I don't need you to give it to me. I could do this myself. But I am going to make you watch so you know exactly what you just walked away from.
It's a taunt.
It's an absolute taunt. But it's also her reclaiming the narrative. She isn't the victim of his rejection. She is the master of this situation. She turns the tables completely. Jack is no longer the one deciding if sex happens. Kate is deciding that pleasure is going to happen with or without him.
Yeah, and Jack, he doesn't leave. He watches. He is mesmerized. He admits out loud that he's crazy with want, but he still refuses to sleep with her right then and there.
And this is such a crucial character beat for Jack. He tells her the timing is bad. He says he wants to make love to her, not just have angry sex against a bathroom counter. He's raising the stakes. He's saying he wants emotional connection, not just friction.
That is a surprising amount of maturity for a romance hero in that kind of situation. Usually they would just give in to the passion.
It shows he values her. He respects her enough to wait until the anger and the hurt subsides. He recognizes that if they have sex now, it'll be about revenge and anger, and he wants it to be about them. He wants the Kate he met at the Rialto, not the trashy Tremaine who's playing a role to protect herself.
So they survive the night. The tension is just palpable, but they sleep in separate beds. The next morning, we get what I call the thaw.
You can't stay angry at a neighbor who looks that good in workout gear. I think that's a universal truth.
I think so. Kate looks through the window between their duplexes and sees Jack doing taekwondo in his living room.
And again, we have the visual appreciation. She's admiring his discipline, his physique. It reminds her of the Greek god she first saw on the street. But then he catches her spying.
And instead of another fight, instead of being smug about it, he invites her over for breakfast.
The omelet scene. This is where the walls actually start to come down. They stop being a Winfield and a Tremaine, and they start being Jack and Kate again. They sit down and they eat.
And they have this great conversation about sweet versus spicy. They're talking about omelet ingredients, but they are not talking about omelets.
Not at all. Subtext is everything there. Jack says, sweet is boring. I prefer spicy.
He is talking about salsa, but he is 100% talking about her.
He is validating her entire personality. Kate has spent her life being told she is too much, too sharp, too trashy, too loud. And Jack is telling her that her spiciness, her toughness, her attitude is exactly what makes her attractive to him. He doesn't want the sweet, passive Angela Winfield types. He wants the fire.
That has to be so healing for her to hear.
It is. It totally recontextualizes her identity for her. She isn't wrong. She's just the right kind of trouble for him. It's the first time a man has ever appreciated her specifically for the things the town hates about her.
They also bond over hating the fishbowl life of the town. Kate is really surprised to learn that the golden boy felt so trapped, she just assumed he loved being the prince.
It's a breaking down of assumptions. She realizes his privilege came with its own kind of cage. She sees his vulnerability, which matches the vulnerability she showed him when she was singing at the Rialto.
Then comes moving day. Jack sees her struggling with furniture and offers to help. And this is when we meet Cassie.
Kate's cousin. The model. The wild one. Cassie is such a great foil for Kate. Where Kate is guarded and cynical, Cassie is flamboyant and completely unapologetic.
And Cassie takes one look at Jack and totally approves. She says he's too much to handle. She sees the chemistry between them immediately. But the really interesting moment is Jack's jealousy.
Yes. They're moving a queen-sized mattress into Kate's bedroom. It's a very domestic visual. And Jack asks, very pointedly, if Kate plans on sharing it.
He is marking his territory. He's sniffing around the fences.
He absolutely is. Kate gets defensive and says she isn't a bedhopper. She defends her virtue, which is important to her because of all the town's rumors. But Jack goes even further. He says he wouldn't let another man stay there.
He's claiming her, even though they aren't technically together. He's letting her know, you're mine.
It creates this sense of romantic inevitability. Despite the feud, despite all the secrets, they are just gravitating toward each other. He's taking a claim on her future.
So let's touch on the subplots for a second, because they add so much texture to the town, and they really drive home the social commentary. Cassie isn't just there for comic relief. She's opening a business, too.
And it is the ultimate act of revenge. She is opening a branch of bare essentials right next door to Mrs. McIntyre's tea room.
A lingerie and sex toy shop right next to the church ladies. I love the pettiness. It is glorious.
It's social warfare, is what it is. It challenges the town to look at everything they repress. It forces the old biddies to walk past the very things they sit around whispering about. It is an aggressive, beautiful reclaiming of space.
But we also see the darker side of the town's prejudice. It's not all just fun and games. Kate's mother's house is vandalized.
Hmm. Spray painted with slurs. That was a really heavy moment in the text.
It reminds us that the prejudice isn't just in Kate's head. It's not just her being sensitive. It is real and it is violent.
It grounds the story. If the prejudice was just, snide looks, you might be tempted to tell Kate to just get over it. But vandalism is a threat. Narratively, though, it serves a purpose. It unites Jack and Kate. Jack is disgusted by it. He stands with the Tremaines against the town. He helps clean it up. He shows he is not his father, or at least not the public image of his father.
We also get more clarity on the parent story, Edie and the mayor. We get these little breadcrumbs about their love story.
Their relationship is the mirror image of Jack and Kate's. A Winfield and a Tremaine drawn together. But they had to hide. They lived their love in the shadows for 20 years, just stealing moments when they could.
And Jack and Kate have the opportunity to break that cycle, to bring their relationship into the light, to do what their parents couldn't.
But only if they can survive the secrets. And that is really where this section of the book leaves us. Jack still doesn't know the full truth about his father's affair.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are the big takeaways? What do we learn from these first 8 chapters of Naturally Naughty?
Well, first, I think we have to talk about that nugget of identity. Pleasantville assigned these 2 very specific roles, Trashy Girl and Golden Boy. They both had to leave town to find their real selves, and now they have to fight to maintain those new identities in a place that wants to reset them to their default settings. It really teaches you that you have to fight for who you are, especially when you go home.
And second, the power of anonymity. The fact that their entire relationship started without names proves the connection is real. It wasn't influenced by their families or their bank accounts or their reputations.
Right. It validates that love, or at least, lust, can transcend social class if you could just strip away the labels first.
And finally, sexual empowerment as a tool, a weapon even.
Kate refuses to be ashamed of her desires. She uses her sexuality not just to please men, but to assert her own existence. She carries the condoms, she uses the vibrator, she initiates the action. And Jack respects that. He doesn't want to tame her. He wants to match her energy.
It is a really refreshing dynamic. It's a partnership of equals, even if they are currently driving each other absolutely crazy. So here is the provocative thought for you to chew on as you go about your day.
We know Kate is falling for Jack, it's obvious. But she is building this relationship on a foundation of a massive lie. The secret of his father's affair. She thinks she's protecting his memory of his father, but she is deceiving him every single day that she doesn't speak the truth.
And in romance novels, the truth always comes out. It's a fundamental rule of the genre. So when Jack finds out that everyone in town knew his father's secret except him, and that Kate, the woman he's falling for, also kept it from him, will he be able to forgive her?
Or will it just confirm his worst fear, that in Pleasantville everyone is wearing a mask and that Kate is just another person who was lying to him all along?
Can love survive the sins of the father? And maybe more importantly, can it survive the silence of the lover? You will have to read the rest of Naturally Naughty to find out. But for now, maybe take a page out of Kate's book. Find your own bare essentials of happiness, even if it shocks the neighbors. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.